So Jerry Jones joins us now here on the home of America's team. Of course, brought to you by your North Texas Ford dealers. Ford is the best in Texas. Jerry, good morning, and thank you for making the time for us this week.
Well, absolutely, and good to be on here, and good to be on here on behalf of all these Ford dealers. And those are great guys, and I've spent a lot of years excited about buying a Ford and driving in a Ford, so good to be on this morning.
Jerry, I wanted to ask you about what's going on in the sports world. We've seen the NBA and Major League Baseball in the past year get caught up with gambling issues, with insider info, and players relaying information to gamblers. Are you worried about that reaching the NFL? What kind of steps have you all taken to make sure that doesn't happen?
Well, one of the most sensitive things that I've been involved in the 36 years that I've been involved in the NFL is the sanctity and the perception of the game as it pertains to being involved, players, coaches, anybody, owners, anybody associated with the game, being involved in any type of gaming. And that's always front and foremost. It's talked about all the time. It's certainly got big, bright lines as to what you do and can't do regarding anything to do with gaming. And, fantasy football, that whole world is a big part of the enjoyment of watching a game. And that is my town against your town, my player against your player. And all of that's a part of the game. But it certainly has to be squeaky monitored, squeaky clean relative to the NFL. And, of course, that's a big challenge because you've got thousands of people involved. But in answer to your questions, it's front and foremost the perception of where the game is relative to how the players are focused on winning that game.
It wasn't too long ago where we had a player, Tony Romo, who was in trouble with even a fantasy football convention. The league would never touch Vegas. None of the sports leagues would. What changed with being okay and going to Vegas, and what changed with all that?
Well, I think we all have realized that wagering and the sport carries with it a natural instinct of people that usually among the fans, friends of my team against your team and everything that goes with that. And I think it's a recognition of that, and in our case, I think it's a good look at trying to do it as above board as you can, and perception is a big part of that. And not creating perception that there could be less than one thing in mind when players, coaches, everybody get involved, owners, and that is to win the game. So, again, that's unfortunate. I'm sure basketball has, over the years, really tried all the ways that, not all, but every way they can to create a problem from having or an issue of having, as we're talking about. It's on the front burner right now. But it's probably impossible to not have, from time to time, a questionable area of behavior by someone involved, someone that's touched as a sport, like all of the, like I said, players, owners, coaches, everybody that's involved. Anybody touching that sport does not have the same privileges regarding gaming that everyone else does.
We know that Jerry Jones is a riverboat gambler. What is Jerry Jones' game of choice that he's allowed to play or cut loose with a little bit?
Well, believe it or not, I don't gamble. And I gamble relative to what I do. It's a big enough gamble to make a decision on a player relative to is it going to work or not. It's a big enough gamble to drill a well, because those often come back with negative results. I gamble in everyday life. Consequently, I don't think you could put enough out there for a gaming bet or a historically type of bet of cards that would get my juice going. I live it every day.
Jerry, you got the Denver Broncos this weekend. The last time you guys beat the Broncos, it was one day after you signed Deion Sanders in 1995. So it's 30 years now. It's your old friend Sean Payton on the other sideline. Would it be a little sweeter to pick up a victory this week?
What are you asking? Would you love to pick up a Deion Sanders this week or have the victory over Denver?
Both.
Yeah.
It might surprise you. It had more than just a Denver result when we picked up Deion Sanders. And, yeah, I'd like to do some of that.
Jerry, fans and media always speculated about, Sean Payton and the Cowboys, and it just seemed like something that would happen one day. That ship obviously seems to have sailed. Both he's happy in Denver, you guys are happy with Brian Schottenheimer. But was there ever a time in the past where you thought Sean Payton might one day end up being your coach?
Several times, and it just never fit. He was never there when we needed to be thinking about making a change, and the timing never fit. And so he's certainly one of the better coaches that I've been around in my career, and we've always had a tremendous respect for his ability to coach a team in every respect. And I thought before he ever was a head coach that it probably would happen here. And turned out he took that New Orleans job, and the rest is history. So, no, there's no coach that we think any more of, respect any more than we do Sean Payton.
Cowboys owner and general manager Jerry Jones with us here on 105 through the Fan. Jerry, you've had two guys who haven't been able to practice this week, both of them in the secondary. How are Trayvon Diggs and Donovan Wilson looking for Sunday?
Well, again, as you know, those are the standard answers, game time. But I would say that questionable at this time on both accounts.
Jerry Jones joined us here on 105.3 The Fan. What is the outlook for Trayvon Diggs?
Well, again, I think questionable for this week, and we won't go past that. But questionable this week. Real questionable.
So, Jerry, everyone assumes that you guys will be keeping tabs on defensive players as we're getting closer to the trade deadline. As you kind of look at your team right now, is there a specific position on defense where you'd be really tempted to go for it if a team called you and offered a premier player?
Not really. And I'm reluctant to say, for the obvious reason, that players are every day our players are highly sensitive to their positions. Mm-hmm. And so, I don't talk about during the season. That conversation before the season starts is just a part of the game for the players. But in being sensitive to our team, being sensitive to the construct of getting ready to play Denver, I don't really get into specifics as it might impact the mentality of a player that's playing Sunday. And, of course, but looking at competition on an area means that it can mean additional help for a player, but often it concerns them and should. So I don't talk about it much.
Jerry, so outside of just that, then any particulars or anything like that, obviously with that coming up soon with the deadline, would you only be willing to add in general, again, not talking about specific positions, but would you only be willing to add if you thought, hey, this is a team that I think can really go far and be a Super Bowl contender?
Well, I would add a player on that premise. In other words, I do think this team has a chance to be in competition. And so under that criteria, and that's a good one, and that's all the reason in the world to have your alert sign up. So in that case, I do have my eyes open and interest level up.
Well, and when we're talking just, again, kind of about generalities, not anything specific, then when teams call, would it be something where you would be interested in potentially a player whose contract is expiring, or would you need to say, hey, we would rather have some control if we're going to add somebody?
Yeah, both. The opportunity of one with a contract expiring that you're dealing with a short-term situation, until you have to address the longer term. Doesn't preclude a player that's on it's got 7 more, 8 more, 9 more regular season games. It doesn't preclude you from looking at that situation. And that has worked before. But both a situation, it could be a long term. So you can look at both of them. There's no, just because you're looking, just because you're talking, that's a long way from doing it. And I don't have to worry about, boy, I better not even open my mouth. I might do something that I would regret. I don't look at it that way. I entertain all action.
Jerry Jones right here on Sean and RJ special Friday appearance on 105.3 The Fan. Jerry, we've known you long enough by now. We know you love anything that adds to the interest of the sport. I'm coming at it from a fan perspective with this comment. This trade deadline talk is fun. Like this Raiders rumor blew up this week about you all possible involvement. This didn't used to be a thing about 10 years ago, trades in the National Football League. How much more does it add to the sport, and how much do you like all the trade buzz?
I love it. It's tremendous for the sport. Any time that you can add an element of what goes on to ultimately score a touchdown, win a game, or a championship, any and all part of that, I thought, not to all fans, but to a lot of fans, can be interesting and entertaining. The reason that I got involved in sports and got involved with the Cowboys the way I did when I was 46 is because I was so involved in every aspect of it. I loved the thought of spending my days involved in that. There's a little of me that thinks there's some of that in so many people. And so I'm all for putting every aspect of it out here and have our fans involved in it. I've always referred back to it. That's why we were the first team ever to put a camera for the fans in the draft room. And there as it turns out, there are just literally umpteen ways to get fans involved. Good for some. Some wouldn't even look past their newspaper to glance at it. Others would hang their hat on it. That's what makes this so great.
Jerry, I'm going to ask you for a negotiating lesson here, because a lot of times you've said they need to call us, or you don't want to pick up the phone first. Why is that so important for many of the trades in your philosophy, and do you apply that to other negotiations in life? Do you really feel like you're giving away that much leverage if you pick up the phone first?
Yes. I can do that real quick. Yes. But really, I'm calling. I use you to call. And you say, how's that? I use media to express an interest all the time. And so, and that's not uncommon and very effective, because don't think I don't listen to that radio, and don't think I don't look at that newspaper. And so if somebody's talking it up, we're talking to each other. You know, the old adage, you can driving along and not saying one word, but look over and there's a little frown. You're talking to me, baby, and I hear you loud and clear. Not a word being said.
So when you're playing a team, do you find that those, I don't want to say negotiations, but those conversations, do they ramp up a little bit more when you're playing a certain team? You get an audience with them, you talk a little bit more in depth about player availabilities? You
do that. It's a big point. It's one of the things you do when you go to league meetings. It's one of the things you do when you have an occasion socially to be around off-season, in-season. That is a part of it, and it very much is a part of the every brush with your opponents. And they're doing the same thing. They're doing exactly the same thing. And the ones that do it the most, the ones that have the interest in doing it, seem to do well that way. But let me say this. There's nothing wrong with showing up where your most interesting people are in your life. There's nothing wrong with showing up there and being around it. Some of it will rub off on you. And it's just a fact. I used to, long before, like when I was 20, 21, 22, I would read where Lamar Hunt was meeting with the original owners of the AFL. And I would not tell anybody, certainly wouldn't tell who I was working for or what I was supposed to be doing. And I would slip off and get a plane ticket and go down to that meeting that Lamar Hunt used to have, whether it be in Houston or where. And I'd sit in the lobby just for a chance to go up when those owners would break and hang out and just introduce myself. I just thought maybe some of it might rub off.
And I think it did. Jerry Jones still making the weekly appearance right here on Sean and RJ. Fantastic stuff. We're looking forward to this matchup with your offense and their defense. Have a good trip, Jerry. We'll talk on Tuesday.
Hey, I like this 9 o'clock slot. Just put them in anytime. We've got.
Thank you, Jerry.
All right, guys. Fun to be with you. Bye-bye.
Yes, sir. Jerry Jones, brought to you by your North Texas Ford dealers. Ford is the best in Texas.